wherever you are in this dunya, I hope that you're all having a very, very good, blessed month, and you're making a lot of dhikr, and you're also praying for our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Palestine, in all the war-torn countries, in Yemen, in Syria, everywhere. Everywhere is strife. I hope make lots of du'as for them as we sit down to eat our iftar. We must think about them, because that's why this year, myself, I just cannot look at food like we did before last year, when every day almost we were doing iftar for 30 people, 25 people. And this year, we don't have the energy to do that. There's not a positive environment at all for us to do that. So let's move on today. We've got a wonderful program here for you today with two wonderful guests from MB Call. Put your hand up right this minute if you know MB Call. Your right hand up if you've heard of MB Call, if you've had any experience with MB Call. MB Call is a Leicester entity from many, many years ago, which I think MB Call was established in the 80s. In the 80s, if I'm right. And of course, so if you can send me a message, if you know the answer to that, then send me a message. 80s, which year, which month, then I know that you are keeping up with your knowledge. Your knowledge is your power, and your power is your knowledge. So, my brother here to my right.
Assalamu alaikum.
And your good name?
I'll give you both of my names, because we Bangladeshis are gifted with two names. And for those people who have Bangladeshi friends, will know they've got a name at school, the official name. But if you mention that name to any other Bangladeshi, they won't know who you're talking about. So my school and my official name is Moj Bashir, and the name that I'm known by in the Bangladeshi community is Muhammad Fokhrul Islam.
Well, that's the name that I'm familiar with.
That's the name I prefer as well.
I know that some people call you Moj, but yes. I never knew the story about that name. So that's why I did not introduce you by your name. I said, I don't want to take a risk. A man with two names, you get the name wrong, you can be in trouble. And to my left here is my brother Naveed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's right. I'm Naveed Ibrahim. Fairly new to MB. I just recently joined back in October as one of the trustees. And like Mosh said, he's our chair. We're the fellow trustees, and we're trying to put MB back on the map and make sure those people who are not aware of what MB is, do now know what MB is, inshallah.
Now, my brother Moj, first of all, you got to enlighten me on a question that was asked this morning program.
Okay.
Is how many people are there in the Bangladesh community in the city of Leicester?
It's an ever-changing number, because I think every few minutes people are joining our community.
MashaAllah.
For a long time, the numbers were quite stable. And then recently we've had a lot of Bangladeshi people who had settled in Europe, particularly in Italy, some in Spain and other parts of Europe. And they've come to this great city of Leicester in large numbers. So in the last 5 years or so, definitely our population has doubled. And the newcomers probably make up the majority now. So the Bangladeshi community in Leicester has become a lot more diverse than it was before.
And we are now going down the path where our communities have grown across the whole city. Now, the question I asked you didn't answer. The number in my knowledge bank is 15,000 plus.
I think it's a big plus.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more than 15,000.
It's a lot more than 15. Of course, now that is inclusive of a demographic in the city today, which is between 90,000 to 95,000. That's the number of Muslims, Naveed, in Leicester.
That's right.
Now, of course, I got to take you all back to history. In the 70s, our numbers were minimalistic. The Bangladesh community here was comprising of a few restaurants that were owned by the Bangladesh community. Did you know that, Naveed, the first restaurant in this city?
Was he on Highfield Street?
You got it.
The curry.
You don't even look like you are a 70s model.
No, I'm an 80s, late 80s.
It's a late 80s model. So he did well there, didn't he?
The Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to correct you, gentlemen, here. There was an older one on what's now called Tiger's Way. It was Waterloo Way before. That was but the building doesn't even exist there. I think it's on the site of, the office block opposite the railway station.
Yeah. So I remember the Taj Mahal well,
Yes.
and then after that I remember the Kohinoor well.
Oh, yes.
Right? These were iconic. And the Kohinoor, if I remember, was by the railway station.
Yes,
Opposite
Conduit
that.
Street.
Which was, again, many restaurants came and went there. But iconic it was at that time when the Melton Road was not even flourishing at that time. So in the 70s, when the Ugandan Asians came, the Melton Road started getting to be populated from 1970 onwards.
Correct.
But the Bangladesh history in the city goes back to the late 60s, mid-60s to late 60s. So, of course, I'm doing a little bit of historical search on these communities, the Asian community in the city. I bet you guys did not know who was the first 5 families in the city of Leicester in the period of 1915 to 1925.
No. Well,
No idea.
couldn't
Now,
guess.
I'm feeling good now.
Couldn't guess.
Right. So one of our presenters here on the radio, it was his grandfather and his father. They were here in 1918
Subhanallah. From which country?
from Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yeah. So we've had different pockets of communities coming, and then the son came, and the grandchildren, now the great-grandchildren are here in the city of Leicester. So a lot of good, positive history that we have to build on, and Mbicol has been part and parcel of the community. Of course, whenever anyone is in the process of bereavement or somebody sadly passed away, the first point of call was Mbicol in the city. Yes?
Yes.
That's right. Yes.
Now, it's not possible that somebody has not had use of the services of Mbicol. Would I be correct in saying that?
Definitely. Apart from the very newcomers to the city, anybody who's been here for a substantial period obviously has lost relatives, grandparents, parents, and Mbicol has played some part in arranging those funerals.
In the city for over a period of time from starting when, 1980?
Early 80s.
Early 80s.
Early 80s. The primary role of Mbicol was to facilitate out-of-hours funerals. So, funerals on bank holidays and weekends. But slowly, the needs of the community has increased, and the role of Mbicol has also increased.
Now, I've got a question here already from one of the listeners asking a question. What was happening in Leicester before Mbicol?
So I guess before Mbicol, we had to just rely on Leicester City Council. And when you rely on non-Muslim organisations, they're used to funerals taking 3 or 4 weeks. When we lose friends in the city who are not Muslims, they pass away, and it's a good 3 or 4 weeks before a funeral takes place. So from the very first document that we need when somebody passes away in hospital or at home, we need something that's called the MCCD, the Medical Certificate of Cause of Death. We sometimes refer it to as the death certificate. And anybody who's not Muslim is not in a rush for that document. If they get it a week later, it's fine. So the hospital doctors and the admin staff are used to doing that in a few days. We need that in a few minutes, because without that, the whole process of the funeral cannot start. We can't bring the body out of the hospital. We can't register the death. There's a few stages that have to be followed. And until you complete stage 1, you can't go to stage 2. Until stage 2 is completed, you can't go to stage 3. And very often, we're trying to arrange same day or next day funerals. So you can imagine before Mbicol, if you went to the council or somewhere and you said, we need to do a burial today, that would have been a very novel idea to them in the early days. And what Mbicol did was make all their agencies, the NHS, the cemeteries, the doctors, the hospitals, all of those people aware that Muslims need to have an express burial. And alhamdulillah, same-day funerals are quite a common thing now. I have just come to the radio station from Saffron Hill Cemetery. An uncle in the community passed away last night, and because he died at home, we needed to get hold of the doctor. Now, throughout throughout today, we managed to get hold of the doctor, we managed to register the death, we managed to book a cemetery plot, and alhamdulillah, within 24 hours, he has been buried. So those kind of things are largely something that we're used to now, is because of the hard work of our predecessors, our elders who set up Embicol and laid those foundations, that now, all these agencies are aware we need to have express burials.
Of course, now I think once again I would like to talk to all our listeners, let them know that whenever there is a death, what to do, because many young families here, they don't ever know what to do next, who to call. So if you could just make it simple for them, a 1, 2, 3, step 1, step 2, step 3. You have a death in the family, what do you do? What's your first point of call? What do you do?
We have to make it simple because every death is different. Whether somebody passes away in hospital or at home makes a difference. Whether the death was expected or whether it was sudden makes a difference as well. So our advice, if we went into too much detail here, we would end up confusing people. So I'll keep it very simple. But my advice would be, keep Embicol's number handy. If you haven't got it, it's on our website, and give us a call. Give us a call if it's an expected death. If your relative is ill in hospital and the doctors have said the treatment has got to stop, it's more palliative care, pain relief, pain management that they're getting, then get in touch with us before they pass away, because the advice that we can give you before they pass away will ensure that you can have a smooth and swift funeral. So in a nutshell, when somebody passes away, we need the doctor's cause of death certificate. This is what I referred to earlier, the MCCD. Until we get the MCCD, the body cannot be released. The body, in effect, belongs to the coroner. So if somebody passes away at home or if somebody passes away in hospital, until we get that document, we cannot get the body released. So it's very important if somebody's ill at home, although the regulation will change from April onwards, but at the moment, the doctor needs to have seen that patient in the last 28 days. And before it was they needed to see them actually face to face, but since COVID, if they even have a video call with them, that's sufficient. So this is what I meant about people need to talk to us beforehand, because if somebody is ill, we will advise the family, make sure the doctor has seen them within the last 28 days. Once they've got that document, then the death has to be registered. And remember, very often we're against the clock. So if you talk to somebody like Embicol, we know how to save minutes, and minutes will save hours, and hours being saved will make the difference between a funeral today or a funeral tomorrow.
So also, going on from there, after the burial, is the Embicol developed to a stage where they have facilities for counselling? Because many people, they need that kind of counselling. A young family, they've lost their father, they lost their mother. Do they have any facilities like that to offer some bereavement counselling?
So alhamdulillah, in Leicester, we're very, very fortunate. We've got an excellent network of masjids. And I think that part gets picked up by the masjids. Very often when somebody passes away, the imam from the masjid will visit the family, and they will provide that. Now, when it comes to people losing young children and things, that's a little bit more difficult, and especially if it's in difficult circumstances, that requires specialist counselling. And what Embicol can do is signpost people, because depending on who they've lost and who we're counselling, whether it's the parents or brothers and sisters, there are different agencies that can provide that counselling. So whilst we don't provide that directly, we can signpost people to the right people.
Now, Naveed, you've just joined MBCall, and you're bringing some fresh impetus to MBCall over the years. Now, I call it here on the radio community sustainability. So I'm looking at Naveed now, and I see the future.
Alhamdulillah.
Community sustainability is when we bring our younger members of the community and then they take over. And we go by the rule of small, medium, large. But in community sustainability, it's the large that have to support the medium and the medium have to support the small. And then to develop the younger volunteers at an early age so that they can then step into the medium and the medium steps into the large. And this is what is needed in every organization, in every mosque, everywhere in the community. If we are going to progress, we need our younger people on board early, not later.
That's right.
Now, don't people think that, oh, this doesn't concern me because I'm not planning to die till I'm 40 or 50. Is there any such thing in our deen?
No.
Right? Death is at your doorstep. It can come to you tomorrow. How many people, Moj, have you come across that just went overnight? How many people in your
Definitely.
lifetime, in your journey of life?
Many sudden deaths.
Well, we start with our parents,
Yes.
right? Every one of us, parents, grandparents, and then your uncles, your extended relatives. This is a part of our journey of life that we have to understand how to cope with it and what the processes are. And this we'll pick up on it after the program about bereavement counseling, how we can develop that to be able to offer almost a one-stop shop and not having to rely. Now, one message has come here, what about ghusl? Have you got any facilities for that?
So MBCOL itself doesn't provide the ghusl facilities. We've got many ghusl facilities in the city. The biggest two are Lesser Central Masjid and Jami Masjid. We've got a few others as well. So, we don't want to step on the masjid's job, their role. They provide the ghusls.
So
we
in Leicester, how
yes.
many mosques, Naveed, to your knowledge, are providing ghusl facilities?
On the top of my head, I think it's about.
You mentioned one, Jamia.
There's Jamia, there's Masjid Nur, there's Condit Street Mosque, there's the Central Mosque, then there's is it Faizan in Medina? That's from Malabar Road.
Yes.
Got the services available. We had something during COVID time around Kent Street as well, but that's not needed at the moment for the reason that Moj said that we do have all these other massages that have got this service available. I think the key thing here about MBCOL is, a lot of the people have the perception that MBCOL are funeral arrangers. Our job is to arrange funerals. And actually, that's not what MBCOL was set out to be. It just happened that over time, when people needed help and so on, they used to come to MBCOL, and MBCOL was there to arrange all these things with them. And this perception has stuck with people that, MBCOL are funeral arrangers. We are a lot more than that. We are there, like Moj said, there's a new legislation coming in place from the 1st of April regarding the MCCD. There's this whole cemetery issue about getting a new cemetery for the Muslim community. There's about burial times, burial slots on the weekends, and that's what we're about. We're about the bigger picture. We're there to be a leading umbrella body for everyone else to take charge, to say this is how it's going to work, this is what's going to happen, and this is how the new legislation needs to be implemented. Our job is to make sure that the whole burial process for our affiliates like Jamia Masjid or Condit Street and so on, who are funeral arrangers, to make their process easy for them. So whilst they concentrate on the whole burial process, we take the headache away from them and we focus on the implementation of the new legislation and so on.
Now, am I right in asking, one of the messages that's come on my screen here, is that have you implemented system and process and due diligence in your organization?
Such as?
Like every organization runs to a system and a process, or a process and a system, that everybody knows what the rules are.
We have, and that's what we've been working towards very recently. And what we've done just about in the last 6 months, we've set out 4 key areas I need to focus on, and we within ourselves have delegated each of those responsibilities. So some are responsible for the legislation side of things, some are responsible for the burial procedure and how to make that more simplified and easy. Then we've got a team that focuses on accounts, business and finance and so on, and then we've got a team that focuses on new cemetery land and all that for the future. And that's how we split everything up, and we've got each team that focuses on those particular areas. And when you combine those 4 areas together, that's what the whole MBCOL is all about. That's what MBCOL's vision is for the future. Like we're in for the next 5 years, I believe it is. And in the next 5 years, we want to make sure if, once our tenure comes to an end, we have set out those procedures and objectives to benefit the community and for the new trustees, if it's not ourselves, to take on and enhance it more and take it more forward. So yes, we've got a system in place, we've got a structure in place, we know what's required at top level, we know what's required at bottom level, and we all work as a team. And I think that's the main thing. There's a lot of it's not all about I'm doing this or I'm doing that. It's MBCOL is doing this. We're all MBCOL. It's not Moj is doing this or Naveed is in charge of this. Let's go to Moj, let's go to Naveed, let's go to MBCOL. And that's what we want to be known as, MBCOL, rather than taking individual credit for things.
Now, Moj, you will recall during the period of COVID, it was absolute mayhem. And that is when so many youngsters came out
Alhamdulillah.
in the community. Gentlemen such as Ahmed Kasu.
Yes.
And there was a lot of people with him.
Yes.
My own, one of my close friends, Mustafa Ismail.
Yes.
And he was out, and so many names I can mention here. And they were all out to help and assist. And at that moment, that was the most difficult period in the history of this country or this city in terms of bereavement. That was a difficult time, Moj.
Alhamdulillah. So you've mentioned Brother Ahmed Kasu and his team. We forget now. We forget about COVID. We forget that most people were closed their front doors and were isolated inside. Didn't even venture outside into the pavement. They were so worried. And this is when these community heroes, fearless, alhamdulillah, went out and served the community. Everybody was afraid. This is a time when, in the early stages of COVID, we were led to believe that even dead bodies contained the virus, and we had people who stepped up and said, "We will give the ghusl." So when the special COVID ghusl facility that we had built up, there was no end of volunteers. People who weren't afraid of the virus, who came out and served the community. These are community heroes. They stepped up at that time, and they continue to serve the community. When you go out of Leicester, the funeral for many Muslim communities is done by private companies. They may be Muslim, they may be non-Muslim, but even as close as Birmingham, where we've got a large Muslim community, it's a paid service. But alhamdulillah, in Leicester, the ghusel's done in the masjids by volunteers, the drivers. Most of our process is done by volunteers, alhamdulillah.
Now, another critical question here. Naveed, this is a question concerning everybody. What is the cost of burial?
Well, the cost of the burial, in regards to the fees, are increasing from the 1st of April with the local authority when it comes to burial fees. So, we have put a guidance out on our social media and on the WhatsApp socials that we got as well with the new burial prices. I don't remember the new prices on the top of my head.
At the moment, it's about just over £1,300 for a grave plot, and that's going to increase to £1,500 and something. So that's the cost of the plot, and it's a lease for 50 years.
Yeah.
And then there's what's called internment, which is when they dig the grave for you and then backfill it again. That, I believe, at the moment is about £865. And that will increase to over £900 after April.
So we're almost at 1,500. plus 900, you're almost at £2,500.
That's right. And,
Yes.
and then if it's after 2:30 on a weekday, or if it's on a Saturday or Sunday, then the interment price increases a little bit.
So you're looking at, let's say, £3,000.
Within £3,000.
Then, now, I know in today's crisis that people can't even afford that, right? So there's that one problem to deal with.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know if the Zakat fund is eligible for paying for that. I don't know. That's some of our scholars to answer that question.
Ji.
So after that, people will not even have the funding. If they can't pay the 3,000, they're not going to be able to pay another 500 to £1,000 to hire a hall to feed people.
Mhm.
Now, what is available for that for them? I know that at Conduit Street Mosque, they have a hall there,
Mhm.
and outside caterers bring the food there.
So feeding, different communities do it differently. Some communities believe they've got to feed the masses. Feeding should really be for outside relatives on the day, and we've got to be very careful that we don't put any pressure on the bereaved families. It's very well known for the first 3 days after a relative passes away, friends and family should be providing the food to those to the family. Now, in some communities, I think it stems from back in the Indian subcontinent, where they would do a big niyaz to feed the poor. Now, there's not many poor in this country. My opinion is, with these lamb curries and things, you're adding to the obesity of people. But I may not be very popular for saying that. But when we deal with hands-on funerals, and for example, the funeral we did today, the GP was out doing care home visits. So he wasn't available until after midday to give us the death certificate to get the ball rolling. So it wasn't until after Zohar that we knew that the janazah would happen today. Now, can you imagine after Zohar knowing that the janazah is going to happen, and then instructing caterers to provide you food within an hour or hour and a half? It becomes an added challenge. So I think on this one, the communities need to be sensible. If you want to have your niyazis and things, do it a few days later. But on the day itself, just focus on feeding the relatives who have come from out of Leicester. And that shouldn't be a responsibility for the family. That should be something that friends and family organise for the bereaved family.
I do think, just to add to what Mudge said, obviously in regards to food, catering, that's a family's preference. However, when it comes to a burial cost, there is support available from the local authority. If there are families who are struggling financially, there are a lot of grants and support available from the local authority. If you do just go into Google or go into the Leicester City Council's website, or just go into .gov.uk, you'll see the different grants available for a widower, for a family member, for the burial cost itself. So the approximate £3,000 that you're talking about, the council that is the support in that case. So that's open information available to everyone. However, we do say that people only use those grants and those finances that are available if it's for a genuine reason. Unfortunately, what happens in today's case, when people come to this information, they see as free money available and they abuse the system.
Of course, now this is a big issue, abusing of funds that are coming. We say in English, there's a saying, easy come, easy go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is across the board. This problem, I'm not in my capacity, and neither are you, Moj, or neither you, Naveed, to ever be able to solve that, right? This is a worldwide issue. So sometimes people get worked up about it very quickly. But what can we do?
Yeah, and we also get instances, like we had one fairly recently, where, you do get some reworks or some people who do pass away and who have got no family members or anything as such. Now, there's a lot of Sharia things to it, and I'm not going to go into detail because I'm not qualified to go into that detail or anything as such. But when circumstances like that do arise, and alhamdulillah, we've got a really great community in Leicester and beyond that do help out with the financial cost of burying someone who's got, who's left no money behind, or who's got no family members or friends available. So we've had people come out, and have contributed to the funeral costs of such individuals.
Now, my brothers, my sisters listening in right now, do call in. You're listening to the Real Talk Show with Zed and my brother Moj from the MB Call and my brother Naveed. Now, we are talking here about funerals. We are talking about people passing away. We are talking about bereavement council. Now, I'm going to take you all away. Just close your eyes and let's pretend that we are there right now in the rubble in Gaza where bodies are buried. People will keep telling you, oh, 30,000 have died. For the 4 weeks, I'm hearing that figure, 30,000. But in reality, my brothers, my sisters, I'm telling you, the figure is much higher than that because nobody's counting the bodies that are buried under the rubble. Nobody's counting them. Now, right now, we hear in our news that these bodies are being picked up with the bulldozers and the rubble is being used to lay the foundation for a port they are building. Allah knows what their agenda is with that port. So that is burial, what we are experiencing on social media every day. So we always have to appreciate, understand, and keep thinking as what can we do for these people who are in that predicament? What can we do? We are powerless sitting here in the city of Leicester or London or England. But my brother Moj, we can number one, make dua. Number two, we have to find the right source where we can deploy funds. And number three, you have to talk to your councillors, your council, local. You have to every day put pressure on them and your member of parliament, right? In the last few months, one new word has come out in the open every week. This word starts with A and the second letter is B. What is the third letter, Moj? Is S.
Abstain.
Abstain. Abstain. Veto. Abstain. What love and respect do we have for our humanity when we do behave in that manner? The value of humanity is first and paramount of most importance to our deen. Yes or no?
Absolutely.
So this work that we are doing with funerals, all the volunteers who can come forward, engage with the MB Call team, with the trustees who are giving their time out. Do these trustees get paid or they're there for FOC like me?
FOC, alhamdulillah, they'll definitely get paid, but from Allah himself in the hereafter.
Now, is there a greater payment than that?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So this kind of work, don't all of you young people out there who are 15, 16, 17, 20 years old think that, oh, that's for the old guys, my dad and my granddad, they do that kind of work. You see, this is a syndrome that we suffer from across the country where our young, if it's your dad's friend doing that work, you say, oh, that's not for me, that's for my dad, right? And we have that syndrome. For these young people, they don't come and join this good community work, then it's a two-way problem. We, the old, don't engage them, and they don't engage with us. So, Naveed, you are medium here today.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do to solve this problem?
Well, from my understanding is the board we've got right now, the MB Call board, is the youngest board of trustees till date.
Bring it on. Let's talk about your board now. Now you mentioned your board. Who are the trustees? We have the chairman here, then yourself. And give us a rundown now. Who are all these people?
So we got the chair here, Moj. Then we got Musa Saleh, is the vice chair. We got Moshin Khalifa, who's the secretary. We got Shah Nawaz Abdul Hamid, who's our treasurer. And then there's Hafiz Adam Sabat. There's myself, Naveed Ibrahim. There's Ahmed Kasu, and there's Muhammad Sheikh.
And Munawar Bhai as well.
Munawar Bhai, people might know him by another name.
What do you know him as?
Well, Jim as well, is, you know.
Oh.
No, I know Musa Saleh, I know Ahmed Kasu, and Muhammad Sheikh, I think I know him also,
Yes.
right? He's also worked here with us on the radio. And there's a message here on our Facebook. Mukhtar Hussain MB Call has been doing a wonderful job for many years. they take care of all the arrangements and work closely with the family. Fokhrul has been there for all the Bangladeshis, and he had done a great job with my own family members too. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him good health.
I mean,
And may MB continue to serve the Muslims of Leicester for many years to come.
I mean.
Is that a positive message?
Alhamdulillah.
No, that obviously.
It's good to hear such things because you always hear the negatives, but sometimes it's a motivational thing for ourselves when you hear some good stuff. It gives us an inspiration.
Well, all of you listening in right now, there's a lot of negatives. I know that. There's a saying that says, you do good, you do very good, but you still get criticized, right? So this is not going to stop. So I'm saying let's all learn to take those negatives and convert them into positives. So when you're sitting here with me, Mo, you feel some positive energy.
Alhamdulillah.
What about you, Naveed? You feel some positive energy?
Absolutely, alhamdulillah.
So
yes.
we have to take this positive energy, get very passionate about the work that we do, and our mission is to develop our young community in the city of Leicester.
Yes.
Right? And that's what our mission is. And we do that collectively. Now, look at that. We have 3 castes sitting here on this table, and we're loving and smiling at each other. Should we be like that outside?
Absolutely.
And that is what it's all about.
We are one community.
Our mission here on the Ramadan radio is to bring every community together on one table.
Inshallah.
Right? When you enter these studios, when you're in this building, we just say we're all one. Now today, 57 Muslim countries, are they sleeping or are they awake? Right? Tell me, what is happening? The atrocities being committed.
Yeah.
Where are these Muslim countries? Are they sleeping or are they awake?
They are not awake at all.
And then we are told that stay quiet, leave it to your leaders. They know what you don't know. You heard that?
Yes.
Haven't you? You've heard that as well?
I have.
Now, I had to cry when I heard that message. This is how our community cannot develop if we don't all work together, and we have to say that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Killing this way or that way is absolutely not to be tolerated, right? So I can't help but always keep thinking about the atrocities, because we had a 7-year-old Naveed and a 9-year-old come here on Saturday evening, and they saw on TV, they saw in their families all talking about it, and they said to their mother that, Mommy, I want to do something for all these children. And they said 5,000 pounds they want to raise.
Alhamdulillah.
They wanted 10, and their mother said, no, you won't be able to raise 10. 5 is okay. 7 and 9-year-old. They came here. They were scheduled to be here for 10 minutes. The mother came to the studio, said that, is it okay if my children, you can talk about these projects? I said, no, bring your children in the studio. They sat there where you are sitting, Naveed. And that 10 minutes ended up being the whole session of the program. Myself and the guest that was supposed to be with me in the program, we were immersed in a 7 and a 9-year-old
Alhamdulillah.
going out to raise these funds.
Subhanallah.
And Naveed, what they were doing, they had some T-shirts organized by a brother. They had cakes they were making, some macaroons they were making, and they were reaching out to all their mothers, extended relatives, their cousins. And when they came to the studio, they had raised about 3,000 pounds.
Alhamdulillah.
So our task was to go say like 2,000 more that you need, and you've reached your target. So when I say that we can't sit there and say, well, I can't do anything about it. It's not up to me. I'm powerless. If you think like that, then you will be powerless forever. Now, these 2 young girls, our government, Rishi Sunak would say they are extremists, right? 7 and 9-year-old, right? Children are dying, Moj. They are getting slaughtered, they're getting butchered. And we are talking about extremism, we are talking about issues just to distract everybody. When everybody does not want that to happen. Now, do we have to wait till it happens to our children, or do we step up and make a noise, right? We don't do that. Naveed, you got children?
Yeah. There's Muhammad Ibrahim, he's 8 years old.
Now, Muhammad Ibrahim is 8 years old. He falls down, he hurts himself, is going to be your pain.
Absolutely.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Moj.
Yes.
That's what happens. We will not see our children. If you see a little speck of blood on your child, you'll feel that pain. That is the energy between the child and the parent. So that's how it is. Imagine how they're going through this over there. How many orphans, Moj? Like, who's going to be burying them? There's no MB call there.
No.
Yeah?
This is what we often think about, to do a burial here, we've got a whole team of people.
Yeah.
We've got the people who go and liaise with the family. We have 2 people who will turn up with the ambulance. We've got people backstage who do all the admin, all the phone calls, and that support just isn't available in Palestine. Everything we do, we've got to think about how lucky we are here and how dire the situation is over there. And when you spoke about the 2 young girls possibly being labelled extremists, it's clear now that we live in a hypocritical world where if it was 2 English girls who did the same fundraising for
don't get me started,
for Ukraine.
Don't get me started.
Ukraine, they'd be called angels. And you offer the same support for Palestine, and they want to label us, negatively. And what's happened this time around, it's very, very clear. There was a time when America would pretend to be the peacemakers, and it's very, very clear now, America, England, and, regardless of what happens, they're supportive of Israel. Human rights or any of that doesn't come into it.
So every day we do different programs, but in each program you can't help but talk about this subject.
Of course.
Because the guests are worried about it, they're incensed about it, and everybody's venting. They don't know what to do with all that negative issues that are prevalent in our bodies, in our minds. And when we see this morning, I saw a social media that a doctor, a lady doctor, female doctor came on and she was crying. She says, your sisters are being raped at the Al-Shifa hospital, being shot while they're pregnant for the family to see. I couldn't stomach that, Naveed. I could not stomach that. That is how it is at the moment. And that is the reality. And Allah knows best.
Allah make it easy.
Allah make it easy.
Ameen.
Yeah, Ameen. So I think now we're coming towards the end of the program, and all of you who are listening in, engage with MB Call, and let's create some awareness, and maybe we can organize a social media WhatsApp to follow up Naveed.
We are on social media and WhatsApp. There's a WhatsApp group full of burial announcements and everything as well.
Yeah. So here's another message. Zubs, Ali, mashallah, amazing work. More people need to get involved.
And we are looking for volunteers as well. And, info@mpcall.org.uk. If you're interested, email us. Whatever your age is, however young you are, however old you are, there's no age limit. We're looking for volunteers from anywhere and everything, whether you're tech savvy, you're good with admin, you want to help with the burial, you're good with accounts, whatever it is, we're looking for volunteers. So please do reach out and we'll get back to you for brothers and sisters. And we will have something coming up very soon, inshallah, giving out more information about this as well. And Moj, do you want to make the announcement for our strapline?
Our
Strapline.
Yes. So talking about volunteers as well. So the lot of young people who are busy with their studies or work commitments don't come forward because they think, I haven't got a lot of time to commit. And it's a two-way process. I think for us, we've got to understand that as well. When people are young, they're focusing on their own lives. And we're not asking for people to give up all their free time. Just a little bit of time, whoever can contribute their spare time. So the key to bringing in young people's advice is just using small amounts of their time.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Zed, Brother Fokhrul, I hope you guys are all well.
Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah.
Let me call into the studio and give a bit of positives. Just listening to your show right now.
That's very good, mashallah. I think
Yeah.
we've got
So-
one volunteer here.
Yes.
I can feel the
Okay,
energy.
I mean, inshallah, we'll try to volunteer. I don't know if you know who is Ifas.
Oh, mashallah, mashallah. Yes.
Yeah, so I was, like I said, I'm at work right now. I just put the radio on. I heard you guys speaking about MBCall. And, you know, again, I want to kind of put out to the viewers as well, inshallah, if they can start trying to volunteer. So my granddad passed away in 2017, and Fokhrul Sasa, my uncle, he got involved in the burial of my granddad and, you know, the washing of the body, etc. And, you know, in those times, obviously, our family members, you know, it's quite hectic and we're all over the place. And alhamdulillah, you know, my uncle Fokhrul, he got involved, you know, got everything sorted out for us, alhamdulillah, you know, best possible sort of way to get everything done within the day for my granddad's burial, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
So, yeah, just wanted to say, because I've never been able to thank him for it before in the past. But I
I'm
thought
sure
it was
you
a
have.
perfect
I'm sure you have.
opportunity
But
right now.
jazakallah khair for the call and the
No,
feedback.
that's okay.
But
Yeah.
Thank you, Ifaz. We'll catch up soon, yeah?
Again, Ifaz is talking
Inshallah,
about a
welcome.
same-day funeral.
Yeah,
And
very good.
Although he kept mentioning my name, obviously, you know, I've got a whole team.
That's right, yeah.
You know, the whole team comes together and makes
Ifaz,
it
we'll
all happen.
speak again. Thank you
Inshallah,
for your call.
Assalamu alaikum. Take care.
See you soon. Assalamu alaikum. So that was
So-
a positive call.
Alhamdulillah.
So
Alhamdulillah.
Moj has got an army behind him.
Well, he's got a big following.
Yeah, he's got it. If he went on social media, Instagram and TikTok, he'd be catching 1 million.
No, I think he'd break Cristiano Ronaldo's record as the most followers.
Jazakallah for your kind words. But we started the show by you, Zed, by asking if everybody knew what MBCall was. And maybe everybody doesn't know what MBCall was.
Just quickly, tell us MB call.
And
We
MBCall,
got 55 seconds.
Muslim
What's-
Burial Council of Leicestershire. And what we want to do, we want to set out a competition here where we want our youngsters to think of a slogan for MBCall. So the Muslim Burial Council of Leicestershire, we want any youngsters to come up with a slogan, and the slogan that's chosen, we will give out a big prize. You know,
I think, is it applied to me as well?
you just miss out on the youth category by
a couple of
possibly a couple of years.
I'm out of that.
So let's go for
A slogan for MB call, brothers and sisters. We only have 15 seconds left now, so I'm going to ask my guests to say salams to you and
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah for listening to us.
yes, jazakallah khair for this opportunity, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khair for your time.
Jazakallah khair. See you tomorrow.